The overconfident empire. The Galactic Empire, a vast and powerful force that had conquered countless worlds, set its sights on Earth. To them, this small blue planet was just another conquest, a routine operation in their mission to expand their dominion across the stars. The Empire's ships, sleek and shimmering, hovered in Earth's orbit, their presence casting shadows over the continents below. From the command center aboard the flagship, Supreme Commander Siren gazed at the planet through the ship's massive observation window. "Primitive," he muttered, watching as Earth's satellites orbited aimlessly. "They won't know what hit them." A signal was sent down to Earth, a message demanding immediate surrender. It was clear and direct. "This is the Galactic Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. Surrender or face the consequences." On Earth, the message was received with mixed reactions. Government leaders scrambled to understand the threat. Scientists analyzed the alien signal, and military officials prepared for the worst. But the strangest reaction came from ordinary people. Instead of fear, many humans laughed. Social media exploded with memes about the alien message. Late-night comedians joked about the Galactic Empire's serious tone. "They've watched too many sci-fi movies," one host quipped. Even children play pretend battles against imaginary alien invaders, waving sticks as laser swords. Back on the flagship, Commander Siren watched the human response on intercepted broadcasts. His officers analyzed the data. "Sir," one of them reported, "it appears they are laughing at us." "Laughing?" Siren's voice was sharp with disbelief. "How dare they? These humans are either fools or too primitive to understand the danger they're in." The Empire had expected panic. They had anticipated desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, they were met with humor and mockery. It was baffling, and it unsettled the crew. On Earth, a young journalist named Mia went live from her rooftop, her camera capturing the massive ships looming in the sky. "This is history in the making," she said, her tone a mix of awe and amusement. "The Galactic Empire demands our surrender, but instead of fear, we've given them laughter. What does this say about humanity?" Her video went viral. People around the world tuned into her updates, her calm and witty commentary striking a chord with millions. "Maybe they think we're weak," she said in one broadcast, "but they clearly don't know what humans are capable of." Meanwhile, in the Empire's war room, plans were being drawn up. The fleet was ready to attack, but the commanders hesitated. "Their reaction is unusual," one officer pointed out. "We've never faced this before. Should we proceed cautiously?" Siren scoffed. "They are insects beneath our boots. We will crush them swiftly." Yet doubts began to creep into the minds of the Empire's officers. What if this laughter wasn't ignorance but a strategy? What if humans were mocking them because they had a hidden advantage? The humans' laughter echoed through the Empire's communication channels, creating a strange atmosphere aboard the ships. Soldiers who had conquered fearsome warriors on distant planets now found themselves uneasy. Laughter wasn't a response they were trained to handle. As the tension grew in the galactic fleet, Earth remained surprisingly calm. People continued their daily lives, posting jokes about the space tourists overhead. A popular hashtag emerged, #WelcomeAliens, with users sharing humorous invitations for the aliens to join them for dinner. But beneath the humor, the unseen weapon. The Galactic Empire's ships remained stationed above Earth, casting dark shadows across the skies. Days passed, and yet no sign of surrender came from humanity. The Empire's officers watched the planet closely, expecting fear to settle in at any moment. But Earth stayed strangely cheerful. From the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Supreme Commander Siren paced back and forth, his sharp, reptilian eyes fixed on the screens displaying Earth's broadcasts. Images of people waving at the ships, holding signs with jokes like "Bring snacks" and "Take me to your leader" filled the monitors. Siren's claws scraped lightly against the metal floor, a habit he had whenever he was irritated. "This cannot be normal," he muttered. "They know we are here to take control." and yet they laugh. One of his advisors, a younger officer named Calix, hesitated before speaking. "Sir, perhaps they lack the technology to understand the severity of our power. They may be simple-minded." Xiron narrowed his eyes at the planet below. Simple-minded creatures do not laugh at death. Despite their bravado, the Empire began its preparations. Stealth drones descended from orbit, scanning the major cities for any signs of military resistance. However, what they found was far more confusing. The drones observed humans gathering in parks, celebrating and playing music. In one location, a crowd had set up a massive telescope, pointing it directly at the Empire's ships. They'd waved at the drones as if they were part of some cosmic performance. In another area, engineers and scientists worked openly with tools that seemed far too primitive. Old computers with blinking lights, wires tangled across the floors. Nothing that appeared threatening. Yet the Empire's scanners detected strange signals emanating from these places, faint but constant. "What are they doing?" Xiron questioned aloud, watching one of the feeds. "They're sending signals, but not." Mia laughed as she watched the aliens scramble from the intercepted video feeds. "You mean to tell me we've been scaring off an intergalactic army with old radios and jokes?" Zoe shrugged. "Hey, they invaded the wrong planet." Back on the flyship, Xiron sat in silence, staring out at Earth. For the first time in his long career, he felt unsure. This planet, these humans, they were different. They didn't fear death, and they certainly didn't fear the Galactic Empire. He wasn't sure whether to admire them or destroy them. The first encounter. The Galactic Empire's patience had worn thin. After days of strange disruptions, laughter echoing through their comms, and bizarre notes appearing in their barracks, Supreme Commander Xiron decided to take direct action. Enough of the games. It was time to land troops and bring Earth to its knees. On the morning of the invasion, the Empire's soldiers gathered in pristine rows aboard the fleet's main warship. Clad in dark armor and carrying energy rifles that could melt steel, they stood ready for the Empire's first step onto human soil. The shuttle doors hissed open, and rows of alien troops filed inside, their movements synchronized and disciplined. As the shuttles descended toward Earth, Xiron watched from the bridge. His eyes narrowed as he studied the humans below, gathering in the streets. No one fled. No one screamed. They just stood there. Some even held signs that read, "Welcome to Earth." Xiron's claws tapped against the console, each tap echoing through the tense silence. Moments later, landing site, Central Park, New York City. The Empire's shuttles touched down with thunderous force. Trees swayed from the gust, dust rising into the air. As the ramp lowered, rows of alien soldiers marched forward in perfect formation, energy rifles raised, expecting resistance. What they were met with was applause. Humans lined the sidewalks, clapping and cheering like spectators at a parade. A man dressed in a cheap alien costume danced along the side, waving at the soldiers. Nearby, a food vendor sold alien hot dogs with green ketchup as a gimmick. The soldiers froze, uncertain. This wasn't how invasions were supposed to unfold. The commanding officer of the landing force, General Threx, approached a group of humans cautiously. "By order of the Galactic Empire, this planet is now under our control." His voice boomed through a translator. A woman holding a cup of coffee raised an eyebrow. "Cool. Want some coffee?" She offered him the cup, completely unfazed. Threx's grip on his rifle tightened. "You do realize this is an invasion?" "Oh, we know," she said with a grin. "You guys are everywhere on social media. Love the ships, by the way. Very sleek." Threx exchanged glances with his second-in-command. Something was wrong. Where were the screams of terror? Where was the panic? Suddenly, from down the street, a parade float rounded the corner. A massive balloon in the shape of an alien, clearly modeled after the Empire's species, floated above the crowd. A marching band followed, playing upbeat music that echoed through the streets. Frex's eye twitched beneath his helmet. What? What is happening? A teenager nearby leaned over. It's Alien Day. We made it a thing. Pretty fun, right? General Threx was at a loss for words. Elsewhere, live broadcast. Mia, the journalist who had been following the invasion closely, streamed live from a rooftop, her camera focused on the Empire's landing zone. As you can see, the Galactic Empire has officially arrived, she said, struggling to hold back laughter. And in typical Earth fashion, we've turned it into a party. I think I just saw someone selling alien-themed hats. Behind her, the Empire's soldiers tried to maintain formation, but the atmosphere felt less like an invasion and more like a carnival. Empire Command Center, aboard the flagship. Watching the entire spectacle unfold, Cyron's claws scraped loudly against the console. His officers avoided eye contact, pretending to be busy with their tasks. They are mocking us, Xiron growled, his voice cold. They seem friendly, sir, Calyx offered carefully. Friendly? We are not here to make friends. Xiron slammed his fist onto the control panel. This planet will learn respect. Yet, no matter how many troops landed, no matter how many cities the Empire occupied, the response was always the same. Smiling crowds, street festivals, and parades greeted them at every turn. Later that evening, temporary Empire outpost. As night fell, Empire soldiers patrolled the streets. Despite their advanced scanners and high-tech gear, the streets of Earth's cities remained calm. However, that calm didn't stop the feeling of unease that crept into the soldiers' minds. A group of soldiers patrolling near a park discovered a large flat stone placed in the center of the walkway. On it was written, in bright neon paint, "We know where you are." The soldiers glanced around nervously, weapons raised. They scanned the area, but nothing appeared on their sensors. No humans, no life forms, just the eerie quiet of the night. Suddenly, their comms crackled. A faint voice whispered through the static. Boo! The soldiers spun around, rifles aimed in all directions. But there was no one there. By the time they returned to the outpost, similar reports were coming in from other patrols. Strange messages, equipment mysteriously moved, and ghostly laughter playing over their headsets. Xiron's office. Midnight. Xiron sat alone, staring at a small note that had appeared on his desk without explanation. In simple handwriting, it read, "You can still leave." His claws trembled as he crushed the note in his palm. The first encounter had not gone as planned. This planet was not ordinary. These humans were not ordinary. Xiron realized something chilling. Earth did not need powerful weapons to win this war. They were winning it with laughter, and somehow, that was far more terrifying. The real resistance. The Galactic Empire's occupation of Earth had not gone as planned. Weeks had passed since the first landing, and the situation had only grown stranger. Earth's governments had not officially surrendered, yet no real resistance had emerged either. Instead, the humans continued to treat the occupation as if it were some grand cosmic joke. But beneath the surface, something else was brewing. Late one evening, in a dimly lit cafe in Tokyo, a group of humans gathered in the corner. They weren't soldiers or politicians. They were hackers, engineers, and tech enthusiasts. Laptops hummed quietly around the table, wires snaking between old circuit boards and ancient computers that looked like relics from the early 2000s. At the head of the table sat Zoe, the lead hacker. Her screen flickered with alien code, streaming directly from one of the Empire's command consoles. "They still haven't patched their firewalls," she said with a smirk. "It's like they've never dealt with anyone who actually knows how to use a keyboard." Beside her, Leon, a mechanical engineer, leaned over. "What's the plan tonight? More glitches, or do we make them really sweat?" Zoe grinned. "Let's mess with their gravity stabilizers. Nothing dangerous, just enough to make them float around their ships for a few minutes." Laughter rippled through the group. Moments later, aboard the Empire's flagship, Commander Xiron's officers found themselves inexplicably weightless. Soldiers drifted helplessly through the corridors, bumping into walls, and floating awkwardly through the air. Equipment detached from consoles, and maintenance droids tumbled aimlessly. "Report." Xiron roared, his voice distorted as he clutched the nearest surface to stay anchored. "Unknown gravitational malfunction, sir," an officer called out, flipping midair. Xiron growled in frustration. This wasn't war. It was humiliation. Back on Earth, underground bunker. While Zode's team disrupted the Empire's systems, another form of resistance took shape in the heart of London. A network of amateur radio enthusiasts broadcast strange signals across frequencies the Empire relied on for communication. They didn't send threats or demands. Instead, they sent music. Old rock songs, classical symphonies, and catchy pop tunes flooded the Empire's secure channels. Alien officers trying to relay orders were forced to speak over the blaring guitar riffs of Jimi Hendrix or the haunting melodies of Beethoven. General Threx, leading ground operations, removed his helmet in frustration as Bohemian Rhapsody echoed through his personal headset. "What is this nonsense?" he barked. A nearby human, clearly a teenager, shrugged. "Queen. Great band. You should give them a listen." Threx gritted his teeth, but no matter how many soldiers he dispatched to shut down the broadcasts, the music always returned. Meanwhile, Earth's cities, as the Empire grew increasingly at first, they thought it was human spies, but no evidence of sabotage was ever found. Instead, the soldiers claimed to see shadows darting through the streets, faces peeking from alleyways, only to vanish the moment they tried to investigate. One particularly nervous patrol stumbled upon a strange doll left in the middle of the road. Its wide, painted eyes stared blankly at them. When they scanned it, the doll emitted a faint sound, laughter. The soldiers abandoned the area immediately. Xiron's private quarters. Xiron sat alone in his quarters, reviewing the latest reports. His empire, mighty and feared across the galaxy, was slowly unraveling at the hands of a species that fought with jokes, pranks, and songs. On his desk lay another note that had somehow bypassed every layer of security on the ship. It simply read, "Still here." Xiron crumpled the paper in his clawed hand, but he couldn't shake the feeling that no matter what he did, the humans were always one step ahead. Midnight, Earth's surface. Deep beneath the streets of New York, another part of humanity's plan was unfolding. In the underground tunnels of an abandoned subway line, engineers and physicists worked tirelessly. They weren't building weapons in the traditional sense. Instead, they were constructing something far more effective: chaos. Leon stood beside a massive antenna, wiping sweat from his brow. "This thing will broadcast interference over every piece of tech they have. It won't destroy them, but it'll drive them crazy." Zoe crossed her arms. "Good. The more confused they are, the more mistakes they'll make." At exactly midnight, the antenna activated. Across the Empire's fleet, holographic displays flickered, and once again, laughter echoed through the halls. Every console displayed the same message. "Good night, Empire. Sleep tight." The ship's lights dimmed, leaving only the faint glow of Earth's moon through the windows. Xiron's breaking point. The next morning, Commander Xiron gathered his highest-ranking officers. His expression was grim, his voice calm but sharp. "This is not war. This is torment," he said. "They are dismantling us without firing a single shot. I will not allow this to continue." Calix, his most trusted advisor, hesitated before speaking. "Sir, if I may, perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach. Earth may not be worth the trouble." Xiron's gaze lingered on the planet below, the same planet that had humiliated him day after day. His claws tightened around the armrest of his chair, but deep down, he knew Calix was right. Earth wasn't just another conquest. It was a battlefield unlike any the Empire had ever faced. But the strangest part, They hadn't even begun to fight back. Psychological warfare. The Galactic Empire's soldiers were known for their discipline, unshaken by the horrors of war. They had conquered worlds where the skies rained fire and moons were torn apart by planetary sieges. Yet none of that had prepared them for Earth. By now, the streets of occupied cities were quiet, but it wasn't the comforting silence of victory. It was the unnerving stillness of a hunter waiting in the dark. The soldiers patrolled in tight groups, their rifles at the ready, but every corner felt like an ambush, not from human soldiers, but from something worse, the unknown. Rumors spread among the Empire's ranks. Some claimed that the humans could disappear at will. Others whispered that Earth's shadows were alive, watching their every move. It all began with small things. Night patrol, Berlin. A squad of alien soldiers moved carefully through the streets of Berlin, their boots echoing against the cobblestone. The air was thick with fog, and visibility was low. Eyes open, the captain ordered. His grip tightened on his rifle. As they turned a corner, they found an old playground, empty and creaking in the wind. A single swing swayed back and forth, as if someone had just left it. The captain raised his scanner. No life signs. But then, from the shadows, came the faint sound of whistling. A cheerful, human tune. "Who goes there?" the captain barked, his voice amplified by his helmet. Silence. A soldier took a step forward, his hand trembling. Beneath the swing was a small chalk drawing, an alien soldier drawn with exaggerated, cartoonish features, and a massive question mark above its head. The captain knelt to examine it. When he stood back up, his visor flickered, and a message blinked across his screen. Getting nervous. He spun around, but there was no one there. Empire Barracks, Paris. The barracks stationed beneath the Eiffel Tower should have been secure. Soldiers slept in tightly controlled quarters, guarded by automated defenses. But no defense could stop the dreams. Soldiers woke in cold sweats, reporting vivid nightmares, visions of human faces laughing in the darkness. One soldier claimed he had seen his family on Earth, despite having never stepped foot on the planet before the invasion. Another found his entire locker filled with rubber ducks, all staring up at him. No one could explain how they got there. It wasn't just a prank anymore. It felt like Earth itself was rejecting them. Empire's control room, aboard the flagship. Zyron reviewed the reports personally. Dozens of incidents, and yet there wasn't a single confirmed human attack. Just fear. "They are playing with our minds," he growled. "This is psychological warfare." Calix hesitated. "Sir, it's working." Zyron's eyes narrowed. "We've lost control of our soldiers. They are jumping at shadows. Half the fleet is requesting transfers to less haunted sectors." Zyron slammed his fist onto the console. "We are not leaving. We are the Galactic Empire." But as if mocking his defiance, the main communication console flickered. Across the entire fleet, the same image appeared on every screen, a pair of cartoon eyes peeking out from the darkness. And beneath it, the words, "Boo." The lights flickered. When they returned, Zyron's officers were staring at him, their faces pale. "Find them." Zyron ordered coldly. "Find whoever is responsible for this." But deep down, he already knew. There was no one to find. Meanwhile, Earth's resistance. In a hidden bunker beneath London, Zoe and her team were in stitches. That worked better than expected. Zoe chuckled, wiping tears from her eyes, as the Empire's panicked chatter buzzed across intercepted channels. Leon grinned. The rubber ducks were a nice touch. "How many did you use?" "Too many," Zoe replied. Across the world, resistance groups worked in sync, pushing the Empire's forces to the brink of madness. They didn't need guns or bombs, just creativity, old technology, and the simple knowledge that fear was the most powerful weapon in existence. The hackers had even cracked into the Empire's ship-wide entertainment system. Now, every hour, on the hour, the same voice echoed across the flagship. Knock, knock. No punchline ever followed. Empire's ground forces, New York City. General Threx tried to rally his troops. This planet is weak. Focus. They are humans. But even he couldn't explain why his soldiers refused to patrol at night, or why, when he entered his quarters that evening, the walls were covered in sticky notes that simply said, "Hello, General." He tore them down, but by morning, they were back. Xiron's breaking point. Days later, Xiron stood at the window of his warship, staring down at Earth. "This planet, it's cursed," Calix whispered behind him. "No," Xiron replied quietly. "It's worse. These humans, they aren't fighting to survive. They're fighting for fun." And that was the scariest part. Xiron's claws traced the edge of his console, staring at the planet that had become the Empire's greatest nightmare. His empire had faced nuclear arsenals and intergalactic warlords, but against Earth, they were losing to laughter. The turning point. The Galactic Empire's fleet loomed over Earth like a constellation of steel, casting shadows that stretched across continents. But no matter how menacing the ships appeared, humanity's spirits remained unbroken. In fact, Earth's population seemed to thrive under occupation, almost as if they were enjoying it. The Empire's soldiers, however, were crumbling. Commander Xiron sat rigidly in his war room, his gaze fixed on the holomap displaying Earth's major cities. Red markers blinked across the map, not to indicate battle zones or uprisings, but areas of unusual activity. Paris. Entire platoon refused to enter the catacombs. We hear whispers down there. Tokyo. Soldiers' barracks covered in sticky notes overnight. No intruder found. New York. Rubber ducks continue appearing in patrol vehicles. Military police baffled. Xiron clenched his jaw. We have occupied planets with firestorms and acid seas. Why is this the most difficult invasion we've ever faced? Calix, standing beside him, hesitated. "Sir, perhaps this is their strength. It's not weapons or war. It's mockery." Xiron snapped. "We are being ridiculed by primitive mammals." Calix shifted uncomfortably. "With all due respect, sir, they aren't exactly primitive." Xiron turned sharply. "Explain." Calix pulled up intercepted footage, another human broadcast. On the screen was a viral clip of a group of humans dressed in cardboard alien costumes, pretending to invade a mall. They waved toy blasters and shouted in cartoonish alien voices while security guards laughed and played along. A caption beneath the video read, "POV, when the Galactic Empire invades but you're too busy with lunch." It had millions of views. Xiron's eye twitched. Later that day, Empire warship docking bay. General Threx stood at the head of his exhausted troops as the latest shuttle of soldiers returned from patrol. The soldiers shuffled out, their faces pale and drained. Threx stepped forward, arms crossed. "Report." One soldier looked up, visibly shaken. "Sir, the humans threw us a party." Threx frowned. "What?" "We landed near a small village. They had balloons, cake, and streamers. There was even a banner that said, 'Happy Occupation Day.'" "They celebrated the invasion?" Threx asked in disbelief. "Yes, sir. They invited us to join. One of the soldiers, he danced with them. I think he even took home a souvenir hat." Threx's eyes narrowed. "Did you confiscate the hat?" The soldier hesitated. "No, sir. He seemed really happy." Threx's scowl deepened. "Empire soldiers do not accept hats from their enemies." "Understood, sir." Midnight, Earth's underground resistance bunker. Zoe leaned back in her chair, spinning lazily as the sound of Empire comms crackled through her headset. "They're cracking," she said, grinning at Leon, who was adjusting the old transmitter. Leon chuckled. "At this point, we could probably ask them to leave politely, and they'd agree." "Too easy," Zoe replied. She tapped into the fleet's main broadcast channel, sending out a simple message across every Empire screen. "Hey Empire, bring snacks next time." Earth. Empire's control room. Aboard the flagship. Xiron stared at the message blinking across his console. He took a long, deep breath and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Sir," Calix said carefully, breaking the silence. "Perhaps it's time to reassess the situation." Xiron's hand trembled slightly as he deactivated the message. "This isn't warfare," Xiron said quietly. "It's humiliation. They aren't resisting with guns. They're dismantling us with comedy." He turned to Calix. "Prepare a transmission to Earth's leaders. We're negotiating." Calix blinked in surprise. "Negotiating? With them?" Xiron growled, "I refuse to lose to party balloons and rubber ducks." "Calix, this ends now." The next day, live global broadcast. Across every screen on Earth, a stern alien face appeared. Commander Xiron, his uniform pristine but his eyes shadowed with exhaustion. "This is Supreme Commander Xiron of the Galactic Empire. I address the people of Earth." Humans across the planet stopped to watch. Some gathered in cafes, others huddled around massive screens in city squares. Xiron took a slow breath. After careful consideration, the Galactic Empire has decided to withdraw its forces from Earth, effective immediately. Cheering erupted around the globe. In Times Square, humans burst into applause. In Sydney, fireworks were launched within minutes of the announcement. Xiron's eye twitched at the overwhelming celebration. "But let it be known," he continued, raising a finger, "this is not a surrender. This is a strategic retreat." Mia, the journalist covering the broadcast, smiled at the camera. "Sounds like a surrender to me." Xiron's gaze flickered as if he heard her. "We depart not because of your strength," Xiron growled, trying to maintain his pride, "but because it is tactically imprudent to continue engagement at this time." A man in the crowd waved at the screen. "Bye-bye." Xiron's lip curled. The broadcast ended abruptly. Aboard the flagship, orbiting Earth, Xiron collapsed into his chair, rubbing his temples. Calix approached carefully. "Sir, permission to speak freely?" Xiron waved tiredly. "Go ahead." Calix smirked. "Next time, let's invade somewhere easier." Xiron snorted. For the first time in weeks, he almost smiled. The aftermath. The Galactic Empire's fleet retreated from Earth's orbit in solemn silence. A sight broadcast live across every major news outlet on the planet. Enormous warships that once cast shadows over entire cities now looked small as they slipped away, humiliated and broken, not by war, but by relentless pranks and the sheer absurdity of human resilience. On the bridge of the Empire's flagship, Commander Xiron sat with his hands clasped, watching Earth shrink in the distance. His officers remained silent, too afraid to speak. The laughter of humans still echoed faintly through the ship's corridors. Xiron suspected it was a lingering glitch from their entertainment system, one final parting gift from Earth's hackers. But something deeper gnawed at him. They never actually fought back. That realization haunted him more than any battle ever had. Earth, the day after the Empire's withdrawal. Celebrations erupted across the planet. People danced in the streets, held alien-themed festivals, and erected monuments, not to honor fallen soldiers, but to commemorate the galaxy's funniest invasion. In New York, a massive parade snaked through Times Square. A towering float of Xiron's scowling face hovered above the crowd, his likeness adorned with oversized googly eyes. The crowd roared with laughter as performers dressed as alien soldiers threw candy into the crowd, reenacting the Empire's awkward landings. Mia, the journalist who had covered the invasion from day one, stood on the sidelines, microphone in hand. "It's official," she said with a grin. "The Galactic Empire has left the building. And in true human fashion, we've turned it into a global holiday. Welcome to Invasion Day, where every year we remember the time aliens tried to conquer Earth and ended up getting pranked into submission." The camera panned to reveal a massive screen displaying clips from the invasion. Alien soldiers confused by parade floats, warships covered in balloons, and soldiers staring in horror at mysterious piles of rubber ducks. One clip showed an Empire shuttle struggling to take off, only to find its landing gear replaced with bicycles. Elsewhere, Empire Military Council. Months later, far from Earth's star system, the Empire's top brass gathered in the cold halls of the Galactic Council chamber. Chiron stood at the head of the table, glaring at the other commanders who whispered behind his back. His humiliation was known across the Empire's vast territories. Grand Admiral Verok leaned forward, folding his hands. "Commander Chiron, I trust you have a detailed explanation for why our most advanced fleet was driven off by unarmed civilians." Chiron's jaw tightened. He chose his words carefully. Earth's tactics are unconventional. They utilize psychological warfare in ways we have never encountered. Another admiral chuckled under his breath. Psychological warfare. From farmers and students. Chiron's eyes narrowed. "I wouldn't underestimate them, Admiral." The chamber quieted. Verok raised an eyebrow. "You expect us to believe this planet is a threat?" Chiron met his gaze. "I don't believe they are a threat. I know they are." He activated a hologram above the table. The projection displayed intercepted Earth broadcasts, footage of humans crafting increasingly absurd countermeasures during the occupation. One clip showed a young boy in Brazil teaching his pet parrot to mimic the Empire's warning sirens, causing panic among alien patrols. Another showed humans in Norway disguising themselves as Empire soldiers and giving false orders, redirecting patrols into the ocean. Chiron pointed at the hologram. "They didn't defeat us with weapons. They defeated us by refusing to take us seriously. That is far more dangerous." The council sat in silence, watching footage of alien soldiers staring in confusion at a flash mob that broke out during a patrol in Sydney. Verok finally spoke, his tone cautious. "What do you propose we do?" Chiron straightened. "We watch, we learn, and we never underestimate Earth again." Verok nodded. "Agreed." Earth. 1 year later. It had been exactly 1 year since the Galactic Empire's retreat. Across Earth, Invasion Day was celebrated with fireworks, festivals, and mock alien invasions. Costume contests were held for the best alien invader outfit, and every nation participated. But behind the humor, humanity quietly prepared. In secret underground bunkers, Earth's brightest minds studied the data left behind by the Empire's fleet. The alien technology, once seen as tools of conquest, was now being reverse-engineered. Humanity had learned valuable lessons from the invasion, not just about technology, but about itself. Zoe sat in front of a massive monitor, scrolling through intercepted Empire communications. She smirked as she decoded encrypted messages that hinted at the Empire's growing fear of Earth. Leon leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Think they'll come back?" Zoe shrugged. "Maybe. But if they do, I hope they bring more hats. The last batch sold out in days." Leon laughed. Who knew galactic war could be profitable? Mia, standing nearby, chimed in. "And entertaining." The three shared a grin. Humanity had faced the stars and laughed in their face. The lesson was clear. Earth didn't just survive the invasion. They thrived because of it. Somewhere, out in the cold expanse of space, the Galactic Empire watched Earth closely, not as conquerors, but as something far more cautious. Because now, they knew the truth. Earth wasn't afraid of them. And that was the most terrifying realization of all.